I'm Chris Distefano. You can catch me on the Bootleg Kev podcast.
Bootleg Kev podcast. We got my guy Chrissy D in the building. One of my favorite comedians. One of my favorite podcasters.
Thank you, my friend.
Welcome, sir.
Now you are what I've just met you. I've known who you are for a long time, but I just physically am in your presence. You're an ambiguous race. I can't figure out. Are you Mexican? Are you white? Are you Middle Eastern?
No.
Are you trans? I don't know.
I am trans Caucasian. No.
Are you full white?
Yeah, I'm Irish, German, and English.
What?
So I'm just kind of like the trio of the whitest shit possible.
You are the empire.
I am what Hitler was like. Yep.
Yeah, dude, but there's a vibe to you where I'm like, you could also be Latino. You could be a sneaky Latino.
A lot, because my wife's Mexican.
Okay.
My kids are Mexican.
Right.
And a lot of people recently have been disappointed to find out I was white.
Yeah.
A lot of rappers, once they find out I'm white, they're like, yo, but your wife. And I'm like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
You don't think a white guy can fucking get a hot Latin woman?
Dude, my wife's Puerto Rican.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, bro. But I don't look Latino at all. So
No,
it's
you're certainly white.
like it's very clear to me that like at least my girl, she knew she was going in white. Your girl could have been like, I thought he was Mexican, but now unfortunately
Too late. It's too late.
But it's too late because you already dropped that
I already
good
ate your
empire
ass.
dick
It's too
on.
late. The empire dick.
Yes, that's what it is. It's a good dick.
Yeah, when I first was sleeping with my girl, like I had to impress her, so I got the honey pack from the gas station.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Nice, beautiful.
First month I was on HGH.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and then I know. I always like to go the first couple of weeks with a new girl, just sex with the lights off.
Lights off?
Yeah, because it's just I like at least I get them hooked, and then it's just a full letdown.
Then the lights go on, and you're like,
Yeah, because I'm one of those guys, like, people always like, oh, you must be jacked. But then I take my shirt off, my tits go like this.
Right.
Like I always have a crumb in my belly button. My dick has a couple of warts on it. And it's just one of those things where you get them hooked, they fall in love, and then they just start to see past things.
Are you circumcised?
Fully circed.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir.
One of my camera guys yesterday was telling us.
Which sounds like a name for a cock.
He's like, we were all talking about like how somehow we were in a van in New York talking about our dicks.
It happens.
And I was like, yeah, 2 out of the 4 people were not circumcised. And I was like, that's fucking gross.
Right.
And then I was like, yeah, no, I'm circumcised, but I'm like 75% circumcised.
Okay, what does that mean?
He said that like they cut his dick and then they like reattached a part of the skin.
So part of the skin is connected to the head.
And then he started to pull up like pictures of other dicks that look like his dick, and I was like, bro, that's a rough fucking go for a young lady that's got to look at that mutilated fucking meat finger down there.
Honestly, even when I'm watching porn, it doesn't matter how hot the girl is. If the guy's uncircumcised, I'm like, gross. Can't do it. Next video.
What percentage of gay does it make me that I have to have a nice dick in the video?
Here's the thing. Here's what I'm about to tell you right now, backed by science. I just watched, this was maybe a few months ago, I just watched a neuroscientist talk about that men, straight men, 99% of the time will fast forward or go to the next porn video if the man's penis isn't big. Because what excites a man, a man's sexual part of the brain, are tits and a dick. That's what it wants to see. It wants to see big breasts and a big dick, because the little dick subconsciously makes the man feel insecure because they start to think about their own size and it takes them out of it. They want big, huge dick with big boobs. So hypothetically, the straight man would have the highest climax off a transgender she-male porn. That's the neuroscientist. That's the neuroscientist that I hired. Give that lecture. No, that's the neuroscientist. That was backed by science, dude. So it's weird you bring that up.
Wait. So hypothetically, this is real?
This is backed by science. I saw a TED Talk of a guy. I was also in a van with my friends, and I was like, let's look up TED Talks that can verify that we're not gay because we like she-males. So we looked into it, and this is true. You can YouTube this. It literally, the scientists said they did a whole study, in Sweden or one of those crazy freaky deaky countries, where they were like that men got most excited by a big penis and a big pair of boobs, because that in the core of the brain You want the big boobs. Obviously, we know. And why? And do you know why? Actually, big boobs. Why we're attracted to big boobs and a big butt. Do you know the scientific reason for that?
I didn't know there was one.
There is.
Mean, I enjoy nice big breasts, but
Okay.
I would probably fancy myself an ass guy. But I
Okay.
like both.
Okay, here's what it is. So the reason why you even asked, the reason why scientists say you like men, we like big boobs and a big butt, wide hips, is the boobs. One is because what we're subconsciously Neanderthal brain seeing, baby has milk. Our babies will have milk to feed off, big breasts,
Right.
and comfortable pillow to lay on.
Yeah.
Now, butt, hips,
Yeah.
wide birthing canal gives us subconsciously our baby's chance, the best chance of survival. So we associate the butt with the hips. That's the reason why, and that's also the reason why women like
This all makes sense.
big guys. Why they like attracted to a taller guys, because in her brain,
Safety.
she's saying he can guard me from animals.
He can go out and hunt.
He can go out and hunt. And that's also why men are attracted to more physical attributes and beauty, and women aren't, because what a woman needs is a man who's all they really care about is if they're smart or not, because you have to, again, we live in a different world now, but this is Neanderthal brain that we still have, are connected to. The man's has to be smarter. That's why they're less about physical qualities, because you have to be cunning to go out and hunt and find food and bring
Right,
it back.
right.
Where the woman is not going out and doing that, so we don't care if she's smart or not. We just need them big old titties for our baby's breast milk,
And the big cock.
and a big cock, and a nice wide birthing canal. That's what it is. If Kim Kardashian had a cock, I'd be in.
Have you seen? My wife follows this makeup artist, Nikita Dragon.
I've heard of
She's
her.
an Asian makeup influencer, but she's trans, right?
Okay.
But like, fucking smoking.
Okay.
But it's almost like crazy.
Yes, you know what? I did actually. My girl told me to look into Nikita Dragon, and I did. And we reached out to do her podcast, or if I could go on hers, or she could come on mine. And I believe her reps just sent a one-word answer, which was no.
Yeah,
That's where I know her from.
hard no.
Hard no. And I'm like, well, I'm still jerking off to you, so
There's that.
can't stop me from doing that.
Yeah, I always tell my friends, I'm like, yo, I can't watch lesbian porn.
No.
There's nothing in lesbian porn for me.
Nothing. There's nothing.
Because I like to at least feel like I'm the dude that's, fucking.
Yes. Yeah, and I also.
I try to time my cum shot with the guy's cum shot in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the strategy. That's why I like, and I also like an up close and personal blowjob. I like a blowjob.
agree.
I don't like, if you're eating a girl, I don't care.
Nobody wants to see a guy eat a chick out.
Let me see your wet cock, dude. How many people you think turn this podcast off and they're not going to get the gold?
Especially my audience. They're like, yo, what the fuck? Hey, yo!
Yo, he's suspect.
Pause! Your man's wild sus! Oh, man. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
That was a great way to kick things off.
There it is.
For people who don't know you, did you kind of give us kind of a rundown on how you kind of started to get your buzz going in the comedy scene? Was it the Opie and Anthony show?
Opie and Anthony was definitely big for me. I started stand-up in 2009, 2010.
Okay.
And then, it's interesting, like, I went that route of, I got on Guy Code and Girl Code, which was big, like, big show.
By the way, Scholes was on there as well, Charlemagne.
Bro, Schultz, Charlemagne, Akash, there's like so many people that
came from that.
Yeah, man. Aquafina, like all these people came out of it. Nicole Byer, and there's like literally, if you look, it's like wow, Lil Duval. You're like all these people are on Guy Code and Girl Code, and really nobody. The biggest one was Charlemagne. Charlemagne and Duval were pretty famous, but of
course,
other than that, nobody really had a career. It was like all our starting off points. Pete Davidson. So it's like. We did that show, and that definitely got us to a point, got us in the clubs, got us known, but it still didn't get you to, like, you still weren't, like, none of us were really selling tickets or on the road, because that's really the barometer of a comic. You could be on this TV show, on that TV show, and do that.
But can you sell tickets?
But, because selling tickets it's not only to other comics, but also just as a world thing, it's like, there's no smoke and mirrors with ticket sales. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors with television. You could be on a hit. Oh, I got a CBS show. I got a this show. I'm on
No
SNL.
one gives a fuck about you.
But guess what? Nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares to purchase a ticket. But there's no, because you could make, you know, the New York Post or whomever could write an article about anyone saying that the next big whatever, and it's like, it's bullshit if no one's at your shows.
Yeah.
That, if the people come, that's how you know. So the people really weren't coming until really I started to do podcasting and the internet. And I had to kind of fail in television to learn that, because I have my daughter's 7 now. She was about 6 months old at the time. I had a sitcom with CBS, a pilot, filmed the whole thing. You know, I met dope people like Chaz Palminteri from Bronx Tale. He played my father in the show. Diane Guerrero played my love interest from Orange is the New Black, and a bunch of other stuff. And then I thought I was going to be, you know, the next Ray Romano, or the CBS was telling me you're going to be this and that. And then the show didn't go.
Wow.
Just failed. Did not go. I spent a year of my life, put everything I had into it. Was going back and forth to LA, time away from my family. And then, you know, missed moments with my daughter's life. And I was like, oh, but this will be good. We'll move to LA, because I was following this, you know, route of the
blueprint.
Seinfeld 90s route.
Right.
Bill Cosby, all these guys. And it didn't go, and I said, well, shit, now I got a daughter, a young daughter, you know, that I have a life here. I got a girl, I had a stepson. I was like, I need to make money. So I said, I made a deal with myself when it didn't go. I said, I'm not going to allow myself ever again in my career to not be in control. I'm never going to put my fate of my career and my family's
someone else's hands.
In someone else's hands. The only people I will give it to is the audience, is the fans. So I said, find a way to put your career in the hands of your fans. And that's when I turned to the internet and podcasting. And it was going good. And then it's weird, like when the pandemic happened, you know, a lot of people kind of career life got put on pause, but that's when my career like got to the next level. It's
yeah,
because
for
I
sure.
had everybody, the whole world, just sitting in front of a computer. Same thing with Schultz. Schultz exploded in the pandemic.
Definitely.
So it's one of those things where I live by that now. And now I am going to do some TV stuff, but it's all on my own terms. I'm like, I don't want to go to LA. I want to do if I'm going to do TV, it's got to be out of New York, because now I have the power, because my fans, because my career's in the hands of my fans. Now my tickets are sold. Now we add shows. Now, I have a podcast and a Patreon, and everything is being controlled through my way. So now I can tell, now I can dictate my own terms, where a lot of times with TV you can't. The corporate person will say, well, you can't do this because, they have all the bargaining chips. But now I can say, well, listen, if we don't do it my way, no problem. I don't
find another guy.
Yeah, it's and it's very respectful, but it's like, there's no reason I need to do your show. I have everything I want.
I'm only going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's a great position to be in life.
Yeah, I sit on my couch or studio very close to my house, say exactly what I want to the fans that want to hear it. They come and buy tickets to my show, and we have a happy little family. And to be honest with you, and I'm fine with this, it's like, even somebody like my mother would be like, oh, why don't you want to do this show or that show? Because even she doesn't understand, like, I lose money doing that. So not only is it freedom, comedically, which is the most important, but financially, it's like, I make way more money doing it my way. Sitting on my couch, I barely miss any events in my daughter's life unless I'm on the road, because I'm like, I'm not going to go away and do things. Time is so much more valuable to me than money.
It's the greatest currency.
It is the greatest currency. I don't need, I think about money in a very different. Now I got 2 kids, 2 daughters and a stepson. So now I'm like, I just don't. I just turned down a movie yesterday that would have taken me to LA for 6 weeks, and I'm like, it was with a comedy hero of mine. The money was okay, but I was like, it's just not worth it, man. I'll do that. Hopefully that similar opportunity is there 20 years from now when I'm older and my kids don't want to hang out with me anyway. They're in college, but right now at this time, I don't want to miss anything in their life. So I'm very focused on, hey, I'm only going to do things that keep me close to home. Now, listen, I gotta, when I go on the road and travel,
you got to tour.
I got to tour, but it's minimal time. It's like I get to a city Thursday, I'm home Sunday morning. It's not like 8 weeks away. I'll never do that. So I think that was the big thing that changed in my career, was my mindset of, I will only put my career in the hands of my fans. I will not, and I also, even on the TV shows I do, it's like, listen, if you don't like the way I understand you can't say certain words on television, I get that, but if you're gonna dumb down my comedy to a point that I'm not happy with
me anymore,
I'm off the show. You can sue me, I mean, I don't care, you know?
Hey, what up, y'all? Bootleg Kev. Got to stop the interview to tell you about our newest sponsor, man. Shout out to the homies at Hardin Las Vegas. That's right, the #1 dispensary in the whole state of Nevada, let alone in the whole fucking country. So many choices of premium cannabis, ladies and gentlemen. It is like, how can I put this? You walk into it, you go to Hardin in Las Vegas. When you're on vacation, when you're out there tricking off, whatever you're doing, stop off at Hardin, tell them I sent you, be like, yo, Bootleg Kev sent me. They're going to take care of you at Hardin. When I say selection, I mean selection of the best premium cannabis in the world, the best dispensary. There's a reason why Hardin is world famous. Follow them right now, Hardin_Las Vegas. Go to their website, hardinlasvegas.com. That's JARDIN_Las Vegas. When you're in Vegas, you have to pull up to Hardin. Tell them I sent you and get high off your fucking face. I don't even know what that means. How do you get high off of your face? Whatever. Melt your fucking face off with some of that good Hardin, y'all. Go follow them one more time. That's Hardin_Las Vegas. Let's get back to the interview.
Most people would take the movie with their comedic hero.
Listen, for me, I just thought about it, right? And I was just like...
Can you say who it is? Kevin Hart?
No. No, it's Bill Burr.
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
shit.
Yeah, and you know, it was one of those things where I was like, yo, like, is that worth...
6 weeks away from my kids.
Is that worth missing 6 track practices, a birthday, is it worth 3 movie nights? Is it worth all that? And I was like, you know, we're not struggling financially right now. We're
gonna be all right.
Anything we want. And you know what's great? You know what's the best part about all this too? Is I can say what I want, right, to my fans who care, have some financial freedom and flexibility that my fans give me. And the best part is I also have my anonymity. When I walk down the street, I get noticed maybe 2 or 3 times. But
that's a beautiful thing.
But it's like, but even if I said something out of context on a tweet,
right?
Nobody,
no one's coming for you as hard.
Doesn't care. They'd be like, oh, what does he have a fucking podcast where he sits down with TT Jerry and Chrissy Cass? They'd be like, this is not big enough. Now, if you get in a movie, if you get on a big, now they start to want to. They have shit to take from you now. But if you don't give them that, then what do they have to take?
They had something where they were on your ass recently. You would
on TikTok.
Yeah, was it like a Latin joke or something? I think people took out of context and they don't realize you're married to a Latin woman.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So that happened. You know, the Mexican community was coming after me,
right.
And I understood the wording of that joke because basically what I was trying to say it was a whole made-up scenario. So what I was trying to say is that TT Jerry, who, if you don't know, she's on my podcast. She's a transgender Latino woman, did 20 years in prison. You know, Puerto Rican, like she's like. You know, it's my wife's uncle, and she's actually my kid's godmother now, and, you know, whatever. She's my family. And so we, you know, say wild shit on the pod together. But we were saying that there was a guy was fixing my family friend was fixing an air conditioner unit in my attic, and his foot went through the ceiling. Right? Yeah. So I was like, and he was like, oh shit. He goes, I'm sorry. I was like, yeah, whatever, just patch it up. And then he goes, he was like, he's Spanish, but he was like, oh, I don't have my papers. And then like, so we were just like joking around like that and all laughing. So then I went on the podcast the next day, and that's what it is. Like you take scenarios like that and you make bits about it. That's even on a podcast, people are like, hey, what you said about X, Y, and Z, that, you know, sometimes my family call me like, that's not true. It's
right.
like, this isn't therapy.
Right,
I'm doing a show.
Yeah. So we're entertaining people.
So what happened was I said on the podcast, I said, oh, you know, like a Mexican worker fell through my ceiling yesterday. And I was like, he said that his neck hurt. And then TT Jerry went up there and was like, I said that he fell through this. What I meant to say was he fell through the ceiling. And then 20 minutes later, all of a sudden he said his neck hurt. And then TT Jerry went up the stairs like, oh, your neck hurt? Where's your papers? And then he was like, I don't have papers. And he was like, trabajo, like that. And so, but the way the TikTok TikTok came out was I didn't say the 20-minute part and I just did a word right.
Right.
So it sounded like, especially if you don't know me, it sounded like this white guy is here talking about the Latino community and it got to the point where like people are like, somebody goes, "We found the worker. We're gonna leave.
We found him."
No, some lady, some like famous Mexican American attorney, or I guess famous on TikTok, was like, messaged me. They're like, "We found the worker. We are going to represent him for free. Her ass is grass." I was like, the worker is literally a dummy from Staten Island who's a family friend. Like, what? There's
You
no
didn't
worker.
find him. You didn't find
There's
him.
no worker. So I texted. His name is Anthony. I was like, "Did anybody reach out to?" He was like, "I don't even have his cell phone." Like, so like, it's just like stupid, and then these people attack. So, but then it's interesting because it's just a microcosm. Like social media, it's just a microcosm. People, because you think they're like, oh, people were like sending me like death threats, right? And then I did shows. Coincidentally, I think 3 weeks later in not the Irvine, it was the Irvine Improv, which is a huge Mexican community in that area, bro. The producer. The manager of the club, is beautiful, sold out shows. Thank you to the people of Irvine.
Of course.
It's like all the shows put together, it's like 3,000 tickets. It's like a big ass venue.
That's
like
huge,
I did six shows, 500 people each show. He told me, he was like, other than Felipe Esparza, who's a huge Mexican American comedian in LA, he goes, "You have the most Mexican fans I've ever seen in this venue." And all of them love. None of them even saw that TikTok, or barely any of them did. And the ones that did were like, yo, it's fucking hilarious.
Well, that's the thing about the internet is like you can't take it too serious because it's always the really loud minority, and like you always think in your head everybody saw this when really not that many people in your real life or fans really actually give a fuck. Or
because you have to also understand the mindset of someone on social media for you to even. Both ways, and listen, it's all good. I will appreciate it, like whatever. But for you to comment negatively on someone's Instagram or TikTok publicly or positively, it's a little bit like most people don't give a fuck at all.
Right.
Most people are like, yeah, I just move on with my shit. Like I would comment on something because we know each other, whatever. But for random people to comment or send you DMs, positive or negative, is a little like. It's just strange, and most people don't care. Most people didn't even see that TikTok, or they didn't give a shit, and they bought a ticket because they like me from other things, or they didn't buy a ticket because they don't like me from other things. So the people that get so wrapped up. So actually, a step that I've taken is, and I understand, not everyone can do this. I get it, to be in a fortunate position, but I have now given the keys to all my social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Everything to someone else, to a guy who works for my management company. I know him very well. He has the passwords to everything. I purposely told him, do not give, I don't want to know, I don't want to have access into my own social media. If somebody like you reached out and he was like, yo, and then he'll send it to me. I'll be like, give him my number, tell him to text me. We'll do things like that. But I'm like, I don't want to know, because it is a thing. A lot of people talk about negative comments and how it messes with your brain chemistry. 100% accurate. So do positive ones. Positive ones take you out into this egotistical state where you aren't who you really are. So I said, you know what? I don't need it anymore. It's built up to me where it's comfortable. Like, however many, hundreds, thousands are on there. It's comfortable enough for me. It's a ticket selling apparatus for me. I tell my guy what to post every day, give him the video, tell him the caption, so it is my writing and my work.
Of course.
But I don't know who's saying what.
Who's DMing, who's commenting.
Even after shows, there would be a thing where I'd be paralyzed. After shows, you have a good show.
Go check the
30, 50, 100 DMs. Girls, guys, I want to hang out. I want to take you to the bar. And I'd be, oh my God, you almost have, sometimes too many options. Too much choice is not freedom. You're in prison with too many choices. That's a thing where it's like, I felt like the less people that have access to me, the freer I am. So I was like, now the only people that have access to me is if you have my number or my email, if you're a personal friend or family member, then we can talk. Other than that, there's a layer, there's someone, a buffer in front of it. And bro, it's made everything in my life so much better, from relationship with my girl, relationship with my kids, my body. I've lost like 25 pounds fasting, working out, because I'm not sucked into the toxicity.
You're not stuck on the phone.
I'm not sucked into the toxicity of it. Even, yes, women, all that stuff, because sex is an addiction like anything else. That gets you in trouble, of course. Comparison, one of my favorite quotes, I just did a video about it, from Teddy Roosevelt, who says, what?
I'll just clear
Oh, my fault. You know, this guy's crying. One of my favorite quotes from Teddy Roosevelt is comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, so I don't compare myself to my peers. I don't know what my peers are doing. I'm happy for whatever they're doing. I compare me to me. Even on social media, sometimes you compare you to you, and that's not good either. You'll look at a picture or video of yourself from 10 months ago and be like, why don't I look like that anymore? Or I was more popping back then. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So I just stay. For me, I've made a decision. I only care. I also don't want someone on the other side of the world to influence my day. They don't know me, I don't know them. So I made another choice where I was like, I'm only going to deal with the opinions of the people in the room with me or my friends and family. Those people I would care about if I'm in a physical presence or a friend. But some other person writing something on YouTube or Instagram, I don't give it my headspace anymore. And some people are strong enough to say, well, I just won't look. I wasn't. I had to just look myself in the mirror and say, you're too much of a pussy, Chris.
Right.
You need to get rid of it. So I didn't delete it because again, it's a ticket selling apparatus.
No, yeah, it's a part of your.
But I don't have any access to it. So like if you DM me, people in my life who, communicating with, who do have my number, like, yo, are you mad at me? You don't respond to my DMs anymore. I'm like, bro, you got to text me. I don't have any information. I don't even have a way into that anymore. And, I know that, that not everybody has to do that. But for me, I've only seen positive change since I've gotten less on social media and more just focusing on the people in front of me.
Yeah, the screen time thing, when you look at your screen time, it's kind of like a rude awakening where you're like, fuck, I spend how much time looking at this fucking thing?
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
and it's weird. It's because it's like, my head is up more. I'm looking around more. There's been times where, I would even see somebody's, a peer of mine's, a great video that they posted or whatever. And I'm like, I'll call my guy right away, like, yo, we got to make something. We like, and then that making something, maybe would have pushed things a little further or maybe not. But in order to make that, I then would have to skip out on dinner with my family, where now I do my work for the day. I set my time and then it's done. And then whatever happens, like whatever it may be. Cause I'm like, you only get one spin around this planet. So I'm like, I don't want to, the thing that I know you'll never get back is time. And especially, for those of us that have children, I'm like, I'm never going to get, they'll never be little again. There will be a time where they don't want us.
Yeah, they're going to be like, you're gross, go away, you're cringy.
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, you got hot friends, babe. They're 19, right?
Bring them over.
Yeah, no, but so right now though, I mean, listen, and of course it's like, you got to work. I'm happy to work. My career makes me happy. We have to be happy first so we can make the rest of our families happy. But right now, I'm just like, yeah, man, like I pick and choose what it is I want to do, but the getting off social media has helped me like tremendously. I genuinely, in my heart, believe that whatever it is, 50 years from now, social media will be looked at as toxic and cancerous as smoking cigarettes were back in the day. I think it's a similar thing. It's a different thing. It's not causing lung cancer,
right?
But it is causing a decay in society, and I would assume
lots of depression.
I would imagine, I would be willing to bet everything that suicide rates being as high as they ever are is directly linked to social media. And I think that the people at these social media companies know that, and I think that it's an algorithm. They're feeding on our social capabilities is it's money to them. So they're gambling on what we're predicting our moves and making money off it. So I get it, but I don't want to be a part of it anymore. Or as little of it.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, try. What, I kill myself tonight? Just blow my head off.
Jesus. Yo, let me so you're a white man who's with a Puerto Rican lady.
I'm a biological white male.
Yes, so am I. I don't have a lot of people who I can relate to. Going to the Latino, my wife's side of the family's family events, parties, and being the only white guy there.
Yes.
And like you're kind of like, Kevin. Like it's.
Here's the thing, it's one of those things where a lot of times the family speaking Spanish. Most of the time, including my 7-year-old daughter, will just start talking to me sometimes in Spanish, and I'm like, "Did you just have a stroke? I don't know what you're saying." at all. And you know, getting used to the culture and the food. You know, the first time I ever had paella. Yes, and yeah, that and what's pernil, the pork. That was, I mean, I loved it, delicious, but I genuinely shit blood, and because my Germanic GI system was like, what did you just do? Did you just? We've never seen this. We can't process it. We need to bleed.
What is this?
We need to bleed, but the food is so good that you just go back for more. And I gotta be honest, man, I've loved the Latino culture so much. Always happy.
Yeah.
You know, always vibrant, dancing. You know,
Best food, hard working.
food, tit tats. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody. You know,
The most beautiful women in the world, to me, are Latin.
literally, I would say the most beautiful women and men. My girl's family are just the hottest people, either gender I've ever. They even have hot pets. I'm like, dude, I want to fuck your dog. Raul, come here.
Yo, do they ever?
What up, y'all? We got to stop the interview real quick, tell you about our good friends at MyBookie. That's right, man. MyBookie is where you want to get this money and enjoy being a degenerate like myself. And it's the best time of the year to be a degenerate because NFL season is obviously, we are in the midst of a crazy NFL season. NBA season just started. World Series is going down, and you can get your bets in right now. Go to MyBookie and sign up for a new account using the promo code BOOTLEG. That's BOOTLEG. You sign up right now. They will match your first deposit. That's right. Put in 1,000. Oh, they'll give you another 1,000 to gamble with. That's free money. Free money to gamble with. Let's get in on this action, man. NFL season. I'm loving this part of the year. So much good, just everything to bet on. Football, basketball, fucking UFC, NFL, baseball, whatever. Now is the best time to get your gamble on. So go sign up for a new account at MyBookie. Use that promo code BOOTLEG and double your deposit. Let's get back to the interview.
Obviously, like Latins are pretty conservative. Any of your girls' family ever seen your comedy and like hit her up about it and be like, yo, what's wrong with him? Like,
Yeah. Well, you know. That's a thing. It's a weird, well, because you're obviously heavily in the music game. It's an interesting thing. Comics talk about this, and I think about this a lot. It's like a comic, right, will get scrutinized for this joke or that joke,
right.
or, you know, Kevin Hart's a homophobe,
Old tweet.
can't host the Oscars
Right.
or whatever. But then on that same show, they have like Eminem on who does rap lyrics about killing his ex-wife and put her in a trunk.
And raping his mom.
So you're like, how come rap gets a pass and comics don't? It's this thing in society that no one can really explain. And I think that it's interesting, like, you know, like sometimes I feel like, yo, as a white guy, sometimes I'm like, yo, man, especially in this, like, if I say anything, oh, homophobe, you're a racist, and I'm like, yo, honestly, the most homophobic, racist people I've ever met in my life are not white, dude. They are. No, Latino and black. Some of the Latino and black people I've met, I'm like, what, are you a Nazi? You can't say that, you know? But it's true.
You're so right.
Yo, it's like, I'm like, but I'm the fucking bad guy? I'm like, holy shit! Like, you can't.
The most homophobic people in my life are definitely people of color.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Some of the shit that I've heard at family barbecues on my girl's side, I'm like, I want to call my senator. I'm contacting the police. But you know, I'm the one with fucking Hitler head, so I'd be in trouble for it. But I'm like. Yo, but it's one of those things where, but see, that's the thing I think too is you know, getting, you know, dating outside your race, is you realize, you know, yes, racism, race, I understand that, but it's really tribalism. That's what it is. It's like people want to they feel safe with people that look like them and sound like them and come through the same struggles as them. So that's why, you know, you'll have, I believe, like, you know, say like, you know, sometimes you'll have like Latino people that like say the N-word, and you'll have a white person be like, well, how come they can say the N-word and I can't? It's like, well, because the Latino and black struggle is very similar in this country where the white struggle is different. So that's why, so it's a tribalism. They've become a tribe where they've said, hey, it's
always a white person that's mad about it.
Always. Yeah. Yeah,
It's like a white lady.
Yes.
She's like 37.
Yeah.
Got a few cats.
Yeah, where I like, it's funny, like, I guess because I'm, heavily in the Latino culture, I always think that too. I'm like, why do white people care? I'm like, just, dude, I want to tell white people, just shut the fuck up. We have it the best.
It's that guilt shit where it's like, dude, it's not your job to police everybody's feelings.
Yeah. I'm like, just shut up.
Shut up. You're not the bar of what's offensive.
Yeah.
If a white person is more offended than the person the joke's actually about, like, it's probably a good joke.
Yeah, it's one of the, it's funny. I was in and and it's crazy, and I didn't say anything, but I was about to make a bit about it. So in the room, so literally I was in, Sway, right? Sway, great friend of mine.
Sway, great guy.
Sway. Sway is like, I hosted a show in 2014 on MTV with Sway. I was the co-host. Nobody watched it, but it was called Off the Bat. But anyway, Sway taught me so much knowledge about hosting a show and being on camera and just being in this world. Sway is like, I love Sway. I think he might be the father of my youngest kid. And I love it. Please, she misses you. So Sway is the best, but I remember I was in Sway in the morning.
Yeah.
As a guest on his serious show when the whole Jussie Smollett thing broke, right?
Yeah.
And I was in there, white guy, all black cast, all black
Heather
crew.
B's in there.
Heather B, everybody. Yeah. And they're in there, and they're just Smollett, and Tracy's reading it, and she's like, and it's horrible, and it's like that fucking energy in there is like, oh shit. And then they're like, Jussie Smollett was attacked, beaten by two white, they were saying at the time, two white men, and they were like, they threw acid at him and a noose, and they said, you're that guy from Empire, whatever. You're that.
Because those rednecks watch Empire.
You're that guy from Empire. And so at that point, I was about to say, I don't think that's real because no white people watch Empire, and I didn't say it. And if I would have said it then, I would have been thrown out, and scrutinized.
You would have gotten canceled.
But literally, I would have been right.
But you would have been right.
I would have been right because when I heard that story, I was like,
everything checks out, but not that.
Yeah, because my comic mind was like,
anybody with a MAGA hat's not watching Empire.
Yeah, I was like, this is a hoax. But it was funny, and sometimes I'm like, I should have just did the joke, man. I'm a comic. But then I was like, I love Sway. And
it might have cost you your friendship for a few months.
You did it. Yeah, exactly. It would have cost my friendship for about 6 months. And I'd be like, come on.
I was right.
Yeah. But it was one of those things where I remember that moment being like, yo. But yeah, man, I think too with comedy, the beautiful thing about being a comic is my shows, man, one of the things I'm most proud of, it's a very culturally diverse audience, man. It's like a community college when you come to my shows, dude. Everybody's out there. All different religions, races. It's dope. So, because I think, comedy is one of those things where it's like, we just go up there confident with the jokes. Comedy is not supposed, when people get mad at comics, they're such fucking nerds, because it's like, the comic is the member of society that's supposed to say the thing.
They're supposed to say the things nobody else could say.
Because it's an outlet. That's why we do it in dark, dingy basements. I'm not telling you to go tell your friends at the water cooler about it on Monday, you fucking dummy.
Yeah.
But, so I think, though, for the most part, too, at least with comics, if it's just words, actions are, you do some criminal shit, that's the eyes of the law. But comics with words, I think it's happening less and less with the quote-unquote cancel stuff, because it's like, we're coming... In my opinion, you cannot be funny and hateful. You're one or the other. Hitler wasn't funny because it's all hate. So it's like, if you're funny and the joke comes off wrong, that's why comedy's subjective. It may not be for you. That's fine.
Right. It's intent-based. It's like, what was your intent with the joke? It wasn't to be hateful or to be... Yeah. Or to hurt feelings. It was to make light of something everyone's thinking about anyway.
Yeah, because you got to understand, too, man, any big uprising, I love I'm a big history fan. You cannot, silence comics and artists. You can't do that because I'm telling you, when it comes down to it, in the Holocaust, they killed the artist and comic. They killed them first because they don't want you. They don't. These regime doesn't want people talking and open, dialogue like we have. What we have in this country right now is such a beautiful thing. We can have differences of opinions. Right. All that stuff. Like this discourse that's fine, but these groups of people that want to, they'll say silence is violence. unless I speak up and say what you don't want me to say, then you try to silence me. So the premise of it doesn't make any sense to me. It never did.
Right.
So I'm like, as a comic, I'm like, yo, we got to all just keep talking about whatever it is you want to talk about, because you need us, just like we need musicians and all that. And the people try to silence. Like, I don't know why at times politicians, will get, comics will get treated like politicians, and politicians will get treated like comics. Like, as a comic,
That's true.
Think
about the Trump shit. He got the pass like he was a comedian for so much of the shit he said.
Yeah.
And then there'll be comedians around that same time the Kevin Hart thing happened.
Yeah.
Where it's like, wait, which one is which?
Yeah, like it's almost like this little like defect in society where it's like, what, you're attacking like the wrong people, man.
Right.
Like, I'm a comic. I don't have anything to do with Congress. Like, but the people who had something to do with Congress, like you said, the free pass. So it's just been an interesting thing, but that's why, but I think, again, turning to an audience and a fan base that just likes what I do, it's almost like, well, I think this idea of being generically famous isn't realistic anymore. Like, you're not good. We're too much of a niche society now. I think the same with music and comedy and movies. It's like, it's only for a certain group of people, but go for that. I mean, now these movies that win, Oscars, most of us have never seen them. Or we don't know, you don't know who.
Yeah, they'll announce the best pictures of the year, and I'm like,
I've never, because it's not for us. It's for that niche.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing.
How did you end up linking up with? I'm a huge Impractical Jokers fan.
The best.
It's me and my son's like favorite show since like season 1. Since he was like, I remember watching Impractical Jokers when my kid was like 8, and now he's like 17.
Yeah.
I've seen probably every episode.
Yeah.
And when Sal started doing the podcast thing, I loved it. And you guys obviously have a great dynamic. How did you guys link up? So
we started Hey Babe about 2 years ago. So Sal, Impractical Jokers was huge, and then Sal used to run a show at this place on Staten Island called Cargo, where he was not, dude, he hadn't even made Impractical Jokers yet. He was literally the bar owner and bartender that ran a comedy show.
Okay.
And all us comics would come to his comedy show and be like, yo, this guy's great. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one day we were like, is that the guy that owns Cargo? He has a TV show? Like, you didn't even know he did comedy.
Yeah.
And then comes out, obviously, hit show. Same with me. I mean, my kids are too young, but I watched that show and die laughing. I would watch it with my dad.
So good, man.
It's because a lot of times, like, we always support our friends in comedy. They got a Netflix show or whatever, and we watch it, to give them the views and whatever we can help. But Impractical Jokers is like, I genuinely watch it because I'm like, this makes me feel better about my day when I can just laugh at.
And you can watch it with anybody. It's not like back in the day when I was like in high school, like I couldn't watch Jackass with my parents.
No.
But I could watch Impractical Jokers with my parents.
That's mostly who I watch it with. Is my parents, and we get along. But Sal, in 2014, I was doing a show at Caroline's, and he came. We knew each other just through social media, but then we started to like actually become friends, and we would hang out all the time. He would always throw the big Super Bowl party at his house, and we'd see him all the time. And then he started doing stand-up, and then as he started doing stand-up, I started seeing him at the clubs, and he's become like this great stand-up now. And then 2 years ago, we were just like, pandemic happened. We're like, yo, we hang out like every weekend and just talk shit for 6 hours and die laughing. Why don't we just make this a pod?
Yeah, why not?
It's easy to make this a pod.
Yeah.
And then we just did it, found a place, did it, and now it literally doing Hey Babe, Chrissy Chaos I love doing, but it's on me. It's like it's usually just me or a lot of times you don't have a guest, and I love doing it. I have fun, but it's a lot of work. Where Hey Babe is literally just we go in there with most of the time, 99% of the time, no plan other than hey, we're gonna catch up
on camera.
Wow. And that's what it is. So that podcast literally is Sal and I's friendship since 2014 just on display. That's all it is.
When Joe leaves the show, do the fans like start this campaign to make you the fourth guy?
I got so many messages. My agent it was constant like Chris. And then I spoke to Sal about it, and I said to Sal, the beauty of, and he of course agreed, and they, the plan that they have now is working where they get like Post Malone.
That Method
Man, and that works beautiful because the thing is, like, you know, these networks would try to recreate Impractical Jokers, and because it was such a mega hit. The reason why it was a mega hit is because their friendship started at 14 years old.
Right.
So don't throw someone like me in, or another one of, you know, our comedy peers. I'm not friends with them
and expect
14.
the same chemistry and the same
that's
dynamic.
30 years of chemistry that cannot be duplicated by anyone else unless there's 4 group of friends that have that mindset. So you can't just reproduce that. That is their friendship on display that I'm not a part of. So it's like the way they're doing it now is just to have a outside guy in just once in a while. That's cool.
It's the smart one.
That's cool.
I hope Joe ends up coming back.
I hope
He's so
so,
big
too.
on TikTok.
I know, dude. He's the best on TikTok.
It's the best, dude.
Yeah, Joe is. I mean.
He was my favorite.
Yeah,
Joe was a fucking maniac.
You know what's crazy too about, you know, being with Sal, because I used to open for Sal.
Yeah.
I would open for Sal a lot over the last few years, but you know now we both do our own headlining things.
Course.
But Sal, you know, when I would be with him, it's crazy how, like, you know, he would have all his fans. Like, it almost feels like all 4 of them each have the same amount of fans, but they're all different groups of people. Like, you got the Q fans, you got the Murr fans, you got the Sal fans, you got the Joe fans. They all collectively love all 4 of them, but it's like, you know, 10 million people love Sal, 10 love Joe, 10 love Murr, 10 love Q. It's like a wild thing how, like, their fame is literally split 4 ways evenly.
It's also like, it's pretty wild that, like, somehow they've had the biggest comedy series, I don't know, it feels like in a long time.
It is. This is a fact. In the top 5 biggest comedy shows of all time, including Seinfeld.
They have
Wild.
the arena tours, the cruise, and somehow I feel like they don't get the respect or the, like, recognition that they deserve.
Yeah, it's one of. I think it's because, like, what I noticed, like when people come up to Sal in the airport and all that. First of all, you know, he gets mobbed.
Oh, I bet.
But he gets mobbed in a way that because they are, but because on the show especially they do such an amazing job of coming off like we're just 4 regular guys like you.
Of course.
Like, you would just come up to Sal and be like, "I love you, man. Is this a joke?" or touch you or whatever, because, like, you're just one of the guys.
it's a wild
you wouldn't
thing
do
to
that
do,
to Kevin Hart because there's a wall. You're like, no, it's a movie star.
Yeah.
You know, or The Rock or something
Right.
like that. Where Sal, you're like, oh, I just saw him. He was giving somebody a
was
wedgie in the
grocery
supermarket.
store. Yeah.
Like, so it's this fame that's like it's very different, and I think that aspect of it causes sometimes these, you know, media conglomerates to like they should be winning all the comedy Emmys and all that
For
stuff.
sure.
Like, their shows are the
For
biggest, the
sure.
funniest, you know. But listen, you know, I can promise you that the Impractical Jokers are doing very well.
Yeah. Have you done the cruise yet?
I did the cruise. I did the cruise in February of 2020 when literally the same cruise,
Right.
a boat that left the same time as us from a couple of bays down.
Started COVID?
No, they got locked on the boat in whatever their destination was for 3 weeks.
Oh,
we were in
fuck.
the same bay.
You dodged a fucking
I
bullet.
dodged a COVID bullet.
Jesus.
Yeah, but it was fun. So I did the last one. I don't know if the cruise industry is even coming back. I don't know if they're going to do another one.
You know, I've never been on a cruise. There's just
Don't.
something about,
Don't.
It's just to me, it's like,
Yeah.
why would I go trap myself on a boat for $600 for a week?
Well, it was interesting because, you know, the rooms, or one of the rooms that I was in had the boat's GPS in it
Right.
on one of the and you went from Miami to the Bahamas, but that trip only takes like 6 hours. But you're in the middle of the sea for 3 days, so it literally is just making circles and going up and down and left and right for a day. I'm like, this is so dumb. You're killing all these fish. This is dumb, and these people are just eating on the buffet.
Yeah.
Like,
Just hoarding all this food and
yeah. No, it was one of those things where I was like, you know, of course, happy to do it, but I was like, one of those things. I'm happy I experienced it. Don't know that I need
I'll
to
never
do it
take
again.
the wife and kids on one of these.
No, they don't want to go.
Yeah.
I take them to Puerto Rico, and then that's fun. The last time we went to Puerto Rico, I thought I was going to get sacrificed.
Hey guys, we got to stop the interview to tell you about our good folks over at BlueChew.com. That's right. Listen, you got to go to Blue Chew right now. Sign up for Blue Chew with the promo code Bootleg. You're going to get your first month for free. Blue Chew, the same active ingredient as Viagra and as Cialis, but in a chewable form. That's right. You pop the Blue Chew, chew that thing, wash it down with your beverage of choice, and then get to work with that hard fucking cock of yours. Your dick is going to be harder than trigonometry was in high school, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be fucking raw. Like, Ryu in Street Fighter, he'd be like, Hadouken, and he does the motherfucking, this is going to be your dick. It's going to be like Ryu's fucking uppercut. You know what I'm saying? God bless whoever's on the receiving end of that. Consensually, of course. They're going to thank you for taking the Blue Chew. So go to bluechew.com, use the promo code BOOTLEG. All right? I'm talking free month. Right to your doorstep, indiscreet packaging, no awkward doctor's visits, all right? It's all online. You don't have to worry about going and sitting in a waiting room and be like, hey, doc, my dick, I could use a little pep in my step, and then it's awkward. You got to look at this old fuck talking about your dick. He might ask you to pull it out. Who fucking knows what's going on? At Blue Chew, none of that's happening. BlueChew.com, and they also got the brand new mint-flavored chewable, which has vardenafil in it, which is the same active ingredient as Levitra and Staxin, which is a little more potent. A little more potent if you need the extra on top of the extra. You know what I mean? Get the mint chewable. Yeah, your wife will thank you. Your girlfriend will thank you. Your boyfriend will thank you. Whatever the fuck you're fucking will thank you. As long as it's legal, all right? Let's get back to the interview. Go to BlueChew.com, promo code BOOTLEG. That's it.
I literally was like, yo, we are in a Puerto Rican village. Everyone's looking at me like we've never seen a gringo like you.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, they were like, holy, because we went to, her family's from Arecibo,
okay,
which is like in the mountains.
Yeah.
So it was like, there's no tourists there. They were like, I was the white guy that was, they were like, what the fuck are you, nobody spoke English, or they spoke English, but it was like, some of the houses didn't have electricity since the last hurricane. I was like, babe, can we just go back to San Juan?
Yeah, I would just be asking everybody, like, hey, so you guys really don't pay taxes, huh?
Yeah, nothing. I was like, Berni. I just kept saying Berni. Acapuria? Like, different foods. Leche?
Was there any, once you started bringing guests on your show, was your wife like a little more hesitant to have people just pull up to your crib?
So what happened is we had great guest. His name was John A. He wrote a book. He was like one of John Gotti's like henchmen.
Right.
Like beat people to death with a baseball bat, right?
At your house.
And I didn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
I literally, and Jazz, she could hear from the kitchen, like, and he was being hilarious. I had like a lemon shirt on. He was like, well, fucking nice lemon. I should hit those lemons with a bat. Like just telling us like things. He's like, yeah, one time I was killing a guy. I was cutting up his body. I had to take a shit. I shit in the woods. And she's just like, literally, our baby was like 3 months old. She's like feeding the baby. And then like, we're having fun. I thought it was great. Like, pack up, whatever. I'm like, Jazz, I mean, how great was that? Pod's going to get a fucking million views. I mean, how great was that? She was like, did you think that it was a good idea to bring a man who's admitted to multiple murders to our house with our daughters? Did you think that that was a good idea at all? And I was like, yeah, it's for the podcast. And she was like, wasn't smart. She goes, never, ever bring a murderer to this house again.
That's a fair request.
And I was like, you know what, babe? I understand. I think that what you're saying is right. I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight, and good. But when she put it to me like that, she's like, our daughters are 6 and 1, and you have a murderer in their living room where they sit and sleep. And did you think about that at all? This is our home. And then I was like, oh, I'll get a podcast studio.
Now you get the studio. From what I remember, I listened to your episode with Rogan. Your dad was kind of like a pretty tough guy, right? Kind of one of those like vintage New York tough guys.
Yes, back in the day. Now he's got now he's on dialysis with 2 fake knees. But he's back in the day. I think a lot of guys he's from the Bronx. I think a lot of guys in the 70s, 80s, even early 90s got mixed up with those guys, gambling and running around. And it was just an easy way to make money. Like, hey, you work for this family, go pick up this gambling debt, that gambling debt. So you get to know those guys. Not that he was ever a made guy or whatever.
Right.
But you get to know those guys. You get to know those circles. You know those people.
Was he like collecting money?
Yeah, pretty much. Like his job, I would call it was like a different work number every week, and somebody would just be like accounting, and it was always like some different guy, and I had no idea. Like,
so you'd have to go shake down the business owners.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, because that's the thing with my dad is I never really asked too many questions on what he did, but I just like would always get like, because my parents got divorced when I was very young, and I would always get like kind of hints of like, oh, my mom doesn't like believe my dad or like my dad, because like I remember one time like being a little kid and being like, Dad, like like it's career day tomorrow, like what do you do for like work, what's your job again? And like my mom being like, My mom, she was like making dinner. She's like, I'd love to see what he says now. Like, you know, like she's like, let's see what bullshit he comes up with.
Accounting.
Well, no, I remember he said, he goes, I go, he works in he goes, oh, Chris, I work for the banks. And I was like, oh, you work for the banks? And my mom went, ha, the banks. And they just kept like, you know, making the spaghetti. And I was like, yeah, she was just, and I remember like, not like, just be like, okay.
Is that why your mom divorced him?
My mom said, my mom served divorce papers to my dad when she was pregnant with me because he gambled. This was 1984. I was born in 84.
Okay.
So
Jordan year. He was drafted in 84.
Bro, 1984, there's a book. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Glory Years. It's about how wild the year 1984 was. I haven't read it yet, but there's like a lot of shit that went down in 1984. Right. But so 84, my dad, you know, bad gambler, whatever, took like $8,000 of like of their like $10,000 savings and bet it on like the Montreal Expos, like some bullshit random thing, and they lost. And then I think what happened was somebody called. My dad didn't pay up, and somebody called my mom at like whatever it is, 10 p.m. and was like, "Where's the money? I know you're pregnant. You don't want to fall down a flight of stairs," like shit like that. And then my mom took me to like Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Like we got out.
We got to get out of Dodge.
Got out of Dodge, came back, gave birth, but then I think that was like the beginning of the end. And then, but my dad always says, he's like, you know, when you were born, like that's when I feel like I hit the lotto, like that, like you. And then he started to like slowly get out of it all. And now, I mean, I don't know anything like about. I have multiple family members on my dad's side who were like murdered and stuff. Like that's like real on the nose mafia shit.
Murdered,
like shot and killed. Police never investigated it, so it's like, you know,
like Sleep with the Fishes
kind of
bodies,
shit. Yeah, bodies in a
found.
Trunk.
Oh
yeah. So I'm like, so that stuff, I'm like, oh, see, that's the thing with like organized crime and all that. Like it's cool and romanticized in the movies, and it is. I get why, but when it's actually in your family, you're like, I don't.
Who was like the closest relative to you that passed?
My uncle, so my aunt's husband, but I was again a little kid,
right.
But him and his son, my cousin, were just murdered, like shot to death at work.
In Long Island?
New Jersey.
Fuck.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and then when you look it up, it's like there was no leads, no nothing. And then it's crazy, my aunt got, and this is like a mafia thing, my aunt got, I don't know for the amount of time, but like every month behind like one of the plants.
There'd be money.
Bag of money. Because probably the family that killed him are like, well, we
got to take care of the wife if we're going to take him out.
See those guys, see that's the thing. Like the mafia, the Italian mafia, I understand the extortion and the crimes. I get it. I get why it's bad. I really do. But there is a little bit of
There's a little code.
There's a little bit of like, well, it's a little bit safer when the mafia's around. They're not going to, here's the thing, is yes, it sucks. I got to pay this fee, this extortion fee. That sucks. But you know what? No one's ever going to break into my business. No one's ever going to hurt my kids, because if they do, they're fucking dead. And they will not mess with you unless you mess with them. At least the old guys were. The new people, you know, I don't know. But the old guys, my father would always say, the only people you got to watch out for in this world are mafia wannabes. The wannabes are the guys who will hurt you because they don't live by the code. The guys who live by the code, you never see it coming. You just get one in the back of the head, but they would never touch you unless you did something to them. And they would, you know, I remember being in Cross Bay Boulevard, the Howard Beach always would have a festival,
right?
Like a carnival every year. And I remember going there once with my dad, and John Gotti and his guys were handing out free candy to all the kids. I was like, this guy's fucking like Jesus.
Did you get any candy from him?
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we were all the kids. He gave it to all the kids. He was just
John Gotti. You got some of John Gotti's candy? Some of that mafia candy?
Yeah, it was like a big deal. Like there's a million kids with that story.
Did he say hi to your dad?
No.
Hey, it's been a while. Good to see you.
No, but you know what's funny? He didn't say hi to my dad, but when John Gotti died, his funeral was in Queens, and I remember my dad was like, you know, I lived in Queens.
Right.
And my dad, you know, I was a teenager by then, so it's not like I knew his, you know, whereabouts every second of the day. But he called me. He's like, I'm in Queens. You want to get a slice of pizza? I'll meet you by your mother's house. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I remember said, I was like, why are you in Queens? He's like, a friend died. I went to their funeral. And I was like, oh. Because I know that, but I never asked, like, but it could have been coincidentally.
See, if I'm you, I'm like, Dad?
Yeah.
You're on dialysis?
Yeah.
You got two old knees or new knees, whatever?
Yeah.
let's peel back the onion. Give me some of these stories.
I know.
Let's do a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he wouldn't. That's the thing, is he wouldn't say, because he's very much like, I don't want you near this.
Right.
You know? But it was funny when I remember that day. He was like, I was at a friend's funeral. I was like, oh.
John Gotti?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Imagine it wasn't. It was just like a neighbor.
Yeah.
Some old lady.
You just came up with this coincidence in your head.
None of it's real. He's never in the mafia. It's like,
no, he actually worked for the banks.
Yeah, no, he genuinely
worked for Chase.
Yeah. My mother he cheated on my mom.
That's why she just she's just bitter.
Yeah, that's all it is.
What do you got coming up? Obviously, you had Special Weshy come out earlier this year.
Special Weshy on Netflix came out. That's still out there, and I'm proud of that one because that was all self-produced by me. That was Netflix had actually everybody had said no to my special, like of me.
Did you already get that made and then take it to them pre?
No. So what happened was before I made it, I was trying to have people come out and watch my hour and this and that, and everybody was just passing on me. HBO said no, Netflix, or some of them wouldn't even come out. They're like, no, not looking for that.
Right.
Okay, they're like, we don't want a straight white male.
Right.
In comedy at that point, fine. I'm not complaining about it, but it's just what it was.
Right.
We'll find another way, no problem. But so I got to a point where I said, you know what, fuck it. What am I even going after these corporations for? My whole mindset from day one, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, has been give it to your fans. So I said, you know what, I'm going to put this shit on YouTube. I'm going to self-produce it. Did it with my guy, Mike Lavin, the homeless pimp who does all my podcasts. I said, he's going to direct it, film it. We're doing it that way, whatever. So we filmed it. All these companies had said no. And then my agent was like, listen, I think this is a great special. Let me at least just put this in Netflix's hands now that the product is finished, and we'll see what they say. Day later, they call, Netflix wants it. So I said, so I get on the phone with Netflix, you have to talk to them. And they say, hey, we want it. I said, great. I said, you guys can have it, appreciate it, but you have to take it as is. And they were like, well, at the end of the special, you shit on Netflix. I was like, you have to take it as is, or I'm just going to put it on YouTube. And they're like, the only thing we want is obviously to edit out the Netflix stuff. I said, you have to take it as is. If you do not, if that's edited out, then I will put it on YouTube. I don't care. I said, I respect Netflix. I really do. I was like, my kids fucking love Coco Melon. Of course. But I literally don't care at all if my thing is on this platform or not. Right. It's for the fans. So either keep it in, or I will put it on YouTube in a week. It doesn't matter to me. And then they were like, okay, let us check with the high-ups. And then the high-ups...
They didn't give a fuck.
They were like, just put it on as is then. So I was like, so that's what it is. So if you watch my special at the end, I'm kind of like, I did this for you guys, but fuck Netflix. But if you guys want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. Yeah. Like I say that at the end and it's in. So I'm proud of that. And then the next special, I'm going to do another special in about 6 to 8 months, but the plan will be the same. Give it to the people and, there's
if somebody wants in, they can get in. If not, it's going straight to the people.
Hey, we got to stop the interview real quick to tell you about our partners at Odd Socks, our presenting sponsor here at the Bootleg Kid Podcast. Listen, Christmas time is approaching faster than you think. I mean, we're like fucking a month and a half away or some shit, whatever. Get some Odd Socks for your folks. Go to oddsocksofficial.com, use the promo code BOOTLEG, and you'll save 20% off at checkout. The most comfortable socks in the world. That's right. We got some Scarface socks. They got WWE. You know what I mean? They also got the Cheech and Chongs. They also got the Flamin' Hots for you hot Cheeto-eating fucks out there. My favorite, just the Odd Socks Basics. They're just so comfy. Literally the most comfortable sock in the world. I'm holding the fucking sock right now. You can save 20% off. Plus, they got boxers now, baby. All right? Go to oddsocksofficial.com. Promo code BOOTLEG at checkout. Save 20% off. And support our family at Odd Socks and the podcast at the same fucking time. Let's get back to the interview.
The thing is it's like a metaphor for life, too. It's like there's nothing to get. And nobody can give you anything anymore. Like, especially in entertainment, like nobody can give you anything. You can only do it yourself and put it out yourself. There's people always like, oh, I want to get something. There's nothing to get. You have to make it happen and put it out. This is the only way. Like even now, take someone like Andrew Schultz, who's made his whole career and living off just putting his things out. Now the movies and TV shows come to him because there was nothing they could give him. He had to do it, and then they see, oh, we want that.
Yeah.
So that's a mindset that I hope my daughters don't have to do comedy, but I hope if they're going to take anything from me, be like, oh, You know, we have to create things and we have to do things. Nobody's going to give you anything in this world. You gotta make it, and then let somebody buy it from you.
Last couple things. Give me your all-time Mount Rushmore of comedy.
Mount Rushmore of comedy. Mount Rushmore of Bill Burr. I like Bill Burr, Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, and you know who is one of the most underrated comics of, not that he's underrated, he's wildly famous, but people don't know about his stand-up, Jamie Foxx.
Oh yeah, I might need security.
Dude.
That's one of my favorite stand-ups.
Bro, that's
a great special.
I believe that Jamie Foxx is if we're just talking about talent across the board in the arts, he is the number one most talented person I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Of my generation.
He does high-level acting, high-level comedy, high-level music.
Yep.
The only other person who's in that conversation, I think, is Chris Brown.
Yes. And Justin Timberlake is
JT's up there.
Was very good on SNL and all that, and obviously acting. But Chris Brown, very funny, but very talented. But for me,
got a mean punch.
Mean punch.
Yeah.
Great boxer.
Great boxer. Good dance.
Yeah.
Can paint.
I love it.
He can paint. Does like full murals on walls and shit.
Really?
Yeah.
He's autistic.
He can hoop.
Can he hoop?
He's like a really good hooper. He can rap. He can sing. His acting's okay. Right. Jamie, though, I think does the most things at a high level.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx to me it's just he's so talented. It makes you want to quit. Where you're like, well, I'll never be as good as him. But now I'm just like, Again,
What about at this very moment? Who do you think are the funniest comedians in the world right now?
Right now, the funniest comedians, I like Shane Gillis.
He's hilarious.
Shane Gillis, I think, makes me laugh. Mark Normand's
cool.
Sam Morrill, I die laughing at. And who else? Stavros Halkias is a guy.
He's great.
Stavi baby. I love.
I feel bad for that guy. Every time the Ravens lose, he's like melts down on fucking Instagram.
I know, he's a fucking lunatic. Well, I know he can't get any more bald.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy who I watch his stuff and I cry laughing is Kyle Dunnigan. He makes these unbelievable sketches. And then there's this kid Eric D'Alessandro who makes these sketches on Instagram that very New York based. I really like that. But yeah, those, and because, it's hard with my peers in stand-up that, because we're all kind of not competing with each other, but it's tough to get in a zone that just breaks down where we can laugh because, a comic peer of mine will make a great joke and I'll be like, shit, instead of laughing, I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Why don't I have a premise like that? It's very difficult to separate. It's like, an athlete watching another athlete. They're admiring them, but they're also like, I got to step my game up. It's hard to just sit back and enjoy. But yeah, I think those people are, they just make me laugh. Bobby Lee makes me
he's great.
Die laughing. Andrew Santino.
It's crazy that Bobby Lee doesn't have a special.
No. Yeah. There's a lot.
I've heard people say he just has been doing the same hour for ever.
To be fair, I haven't seen Bobby Lee's most recent stand-up, but the thing is, every time I see him, it's just so over-the-top funny that even if it was the same material, I don't notice.
I love the podcast, Tiger Belly, Bad Friends.
Tiger Belly, yeah. Dave Attell is like that. Dave Attell is another guy in the Mount Rushmore of comics. Dave Attell and Colin Quinn are on the Mount Rushmore of comics to me as well. But Attell only has one or two specials, and Colin has... one-man shows, but only one or two actual stand-up specials. The rest are one-man shows about history that are brilliant.
They're great.
But it's just one-man shows. So it's this interesting thing where, sometimes people don't put out a whole bunch of stuff.
That's fair. Last thing, you went on Rogan. Obviously, that seems to be kind of like a turning point for every comedian. Once you get the invite to Austin, and you go down there and you see Joe. First of all, how was the experience? Did he give you any game, and did you notice kind of things uptick afterwards?
It's getting on Rogan when I did. So it's fantastic to do Rogan. I'll always do it, but it's weird that first of all, when I met him, it was cool because he asked, me to come on, which is different when you ask them. When they ask you to come on, that's the way you want it.
Of course.
But, he showed me his whole facility, and he's like kicking he's like a great like boxer and kickboxer. He's like kicking this fucking heavy bag. Like, I'm like, is this guy gonna kick my head off on the show? I'm like, I'm intimidated. He's like, this is my cryo chamber. I'm like, are we gonna go in it, or do you want to do the pod? Like, it was like 2 hours of like, this is what I do.
It was the tour. It was like, I'm a man's man.
Yeah, which I was like, all right. I had like on a flowered shirt. I was like, well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gay, and it's interesting. I did the show. I did, I did like 3.5 hours with him. Like, the longest I ever do on a podcast is like an hour, because like, what can you even talk about? But for him, it's like he's so good at like just keeping the convo going. Like, you'll say something, and then because he's listening.
Right.
The thing is like, you're very good at it too. Like, you're just like listening. You're not worried about like what he's going to say. Like, he's like, I'm just listening to you,
right,
and then going off you. It's very natural, very calming. But it's weird is that, by the time I got to do Joe Rogan, I had to get my fans kind of the hard way and kind of get them one by one by one. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that too many people heard me on Joe Rogan that didn't already kind of make a decision on me whether they liked me or not. Maybe I was able to get some people who didn't initially like me to like me and follow, but I didn't notice my followers go up or my ticket numbers.
Really?
I didn't notice it too much. It kind of stayed where it's at because I think that, I was doing all the Orbital podcasts. I was doing Tom
Segura
everything. And Christ. I was doing so all those people that listen to Rogan, they listen to these other guys too. So they had heard me on that, and by the
it's not like you were like new to his audience at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was new to some people.
Of course.
But also the other thing with Joe is he puts out so much content, and I understand why, that you get swallowed up very easy in the algorithm. So it's like you had an opportunity to listen to my 3.5 hours for about 2 days. Yeah. And then somebody else's 5-hour episode came up. So it's very difficult to listen to it all.
I watched the whole thing, or at least listened to it. I listened to it. It was good, man.
There you go.
That's like the story about your pops. Like, I think he was going to see, was it your principal at your school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you Google Chris Distefano 9/11 story, it's like the most viral thing I've ever done. I did a stand-up bit about my time on 9/11. You can check it out. But it's funny, like, people will come up to you in the street and be like, you're the 9/11 guy, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
But then people don't know what I'm talking about. Like, what are you saying? You're the 9/11 guy.
It was you?
Yeah,
it was you. Tower 7 was you.
I'm Bin Laden in whiteface.
There it is. Hey, well, look, I appreciate you coming through, man, and making time. I know you got your family and
Appreciate it, my man.
Boom.